Hello and welcome to Want to Hear Something Weird.
Wow. That's
a weekly,
spooky.
weekly weird podcast about weird, spooky stuff. I'm your host, Tom.
I'm Laura.
How are you doing this week, Laura?
It doesn't feel right when I do it. I'm Laura.
Yeah. Well, only one of us can have the
I guess.
deep, husky voice.
And I guess it's fair that it's you.
Yeah. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing well.
Do you want to hear something weird?
You know I do.
Let me ask first off, what are your opinions, your thoughts, your emotions around the topic of haunted dolls?
Terrifying.
You're terrified of haunted dolls?
Yeah.
Now we had a listener email, what was that, last week, about a haunted doll?
I forget if it was last week. But
yeah,
recently.
last week or the week before, but about a haunted doll. And that got me starting to think about haunted dolls more. But I didn't know that you're terrified of haunted dolls.
I think it's the uncanny valley.
Mm-hmm. That's like something kind of primal in your brain.
Yeah. And I, loved Toy Story growing up, played with Barbies a lot growing up. And, after seeing Toy Story, you kind of realize, oh, these dolls could have
their own
personalities and the idea that it could be an evil personality.
Right. Not just a Woody and Buzz.
Right.
Good time boys.
Yeah. That's horrifying.
Yeah. I remember one of my earliest memories as a kid was complaining to my parents that somebody was moving all of my stuff around at night, which is kind of creepy in retrospect. I think what it probably was my mom tidied up the room a little bit after I fell asleep. And then when I couldn't find my car the next day that I wanted, I blamed it on somebody coming into my room. Well, that hadn't even occurred to me. But I I also remember, this is one of my other run-ins with a scary doll. And it's not really a run-in. It's just I believe it was the year Child's Play came out starring Chucky, the doll. My little brother had My Big Buddy, I think it was called, the doll that Chucky was kind of based on.
Oh, okay.
I think it was My Big Buddy. Maybe that was what it was called in Chucky, and the real one was something different. They were very close, I remember. And I just remember as a kid, being afraid of Chucky on commercials. And then it was like a big family event, and we were all staying together in a big house, like extended family, cousins and everything. And one of my uncles took the doll and waited till we were all asleep when the lights were off, and put the doll in and yelled it's Child's Play time or something, and then just threw it into the room. But yeah, so today we're talking about haunted dolls. And as I was putting together this list, I realized that two of the dolls on this list we've been in close proximity to.
Oh gosh.
So take that for what it's worth.
That might explain a lot.
The first one, of course, I feel like this is one of the more famous dolls out there right now.
Okay.
Robert the Doll.
Yes.
Which is in Key West, Florida. I didn't know this story, I think, until we were down there. And then, a lot of people, tour guides, people selling tours talked about it.
Yeah. And we did not go to the museum. You can go to the museum and see the doll. I think we were too scared.
Yeah, well, we were on a ghost tour, and it was already a little late at night, so the museum was already closed. And I think we were leaving the next day. Look, we couldn't do it. We couldn't make it.
We were scared.
But let me maybe refresh your mind of the story of Robert the Doll, and the listeners too.
Please do.
This isn't just for you, Laura. It's for the people listening as well. So Robert the Doll is this child life-size doll that was given to Robert Eugene Otto. So Robert had a doll named Robert, but Robert Eugene Otto went by Gene. He was born in 1905. I think he was given the doll when he was 4 years old. It was a gift.
Okay.
Now, it was apparently about the same size as Jean at the time.
Oh, weird. You know what a weird thing when I was a kid? They had, I think it was called Life-Size Barbie. And you could allegedly wear the same clothes as Barbie. And I really wanted that.
Right.
Why? I don't know. My parents never got it for me. It's probably for the best, but it just seemed like such a cool concept.
How could it be a life-size Barbie? Like, it's still going to have a size, though.
I know, but hey.
Yeah. Nothing like getting kids started young with
oh, absolutely.
Feeling
really
like
prime you for
not skinny enough.
Yeah, your body's not like a Barbie doll.
Right. You can't even fit into Barbie's clothes. What are you, a hippopotamus? So they're about the same size. I believe they both wore little sailor suits a lot.
Oh, okay.
Or at least Robert the doll did. And when things went, if something bad happened, Jean would blame Robert. You know, if a toy got broken and his mom got mad at him, he would say, "But Mom, it wasn't me. It was Robert. Robert did it."
Robert the doll.
Robert the doll. Now, that would just be the normal kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the fact that around the same time, people started telling Jean's parents that when they were walking by the house, sometimes they see the doll following, like watching them walk out of the house and move from, not that they're seeing it move, but it's at one window, they turn the corner and it's now at the other window still watching them.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah. So that was apparently a pretty common thing. People would see it move between windows. It was also very common that it would change facial expressions, like it was listening to conversations.
Oh, weird.
So people would be having a conversation and then somebody would go, "Hey, am I crazy, or does the doll look like it's listening to us right now? Did it always look like that?" Yeah. So, and this doll hung around with Jean like his whole life, to the point where his wife said, "All right, like that thing's creeping me out. You can't have him around all the time," because Jean would also talk to Robert. And some people claim that they would hear Robert, you know, that maybe they would be out of sight or whatever, or they would be upstairs and they would hear Jean saying something and then they would hear another voice talking back to him. So Jean's wife said, "You got to keep this thing up in the painting room," because Jean was a painter. He said, "Yeah, it's fine. That's where, you know, he prefers to be anyway, I guess." So eventually time goes by and there's both of them die and there's a new owner of the place.
Oh, okay.
And the owner of the building has also inherited Robert.
Oh, boy.
Now, she would frequently hear footsteps and giggling in other parts of the house. So she said, like, "All right, enough is enough. I'm getting rid of this thing." And she is the one who gave it, I'm sure sold it, to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida.
Okay.
And now, two other things that we were told when we were there, that when you go to the museum, you have to ask Robert permission to take his picture. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, and he won't respond, you know, that's not part of it. Because imagine if it was. Imagine if it was like, he'll say yes, and then you can take it. But you have to ask. And if you don't, people experience bad things, bad luck, paranormal things, hauntings, until they write Robert a letter apologizing.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we were told on the tour, but I went to the museum's website and they claim that that is not the case.
Oh, okay.
That people that they don't have any kind of, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that. All they ask is that you be respectful. And now, according to them, there are people that perhaps are disrespectful to the doll, taunt the doll, things like that. And then they independently kind of have these problems and tie it back to Robert and then decide, all right, I should write a letter. So on the museum's website, they do have, you know, an address
So you
saying,
can write.
yeah, if you want to write Robert a letter, and they keep it pretty open. Like, you know, if you want to write him an apology, if you want to just write him a letter, whatever.
So the museum isn't necessarily buying into the superstitious paranormal doll thing. They're not saying.
I think it's just that they're saying, like, look, somebody added kind of like a Bloody Mary aspect to this to make it scarier, that you have to speak out loud to him.
Okay.
To make it creepier, when they're like, no, you can go in there and, you know, take pictures, do whatever. But like, if you start taunting the doll, you know, basically you're going to get get
cursed.
You're going to reap what you sow there. And, you know, it's probably like I think in general, they probably don't want customers in their museum yelling at a doll regardless.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably just a good general rule of, like, you know, hey, don't say mean things to any of the inanimate objects in here, please. It's weird that we have to put that rule out there, but that is the rule.
I mean, that tells you that people have not abided by that rule in the past.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, that's also the kind of thing where, you know, to me, it hints a little bit at potentially a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
You know, where you're the skeptic, you're going in there. Now, if you're the true skeptic, you're probably not going to do anything. You're going to look at it and go, it's a doll. But if you're saying, oh, I'm going to prove that it's not real by saying all these things, somewhere in your subconscious, that means you do think there's a possibility of this happening. And then, you could start just attributing bad things to the curse of a doll. The next one I wanted to talk about, Letta the doll. Now, Letta is short for Let Me Out.
Oh, no.
Which, you know, you don't want to hear anything like that from a doll, ever. You don't want to let me out, let me in, nothing.
Nothing that you can, not actually, just, silence from a doll is preferred.
Now, Letta is also a child-sized doll. This doll is very creepy looking. It has a wooden head and then real human hair. It's thought to be 200 years old.
Wow.
So it's pretty old. You wouldn't necessarily know that looking at it. It doesn't look, I mean, it looks old, but if somebody told you this is from the 40s, I don't think you would doubt it.
Okay.
Belongs to a man named Kerry Walton, who lives in Wagga Wagga, Australia.
Currently, he owns it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's life size. People claim that it has moved items on its own, you know, that items move around. But the owner, Mr. Walton, he claims after he got it that he would like wake up and there would be scuff marks on the floor.
Okay.
From the doll, seemingly, you know, that weren't there before.
Or someone was creeping around in his bedroom at night.
Yeah. The kids one time woke him up screaming that Letta was talking and moving around on his own.
Oh.
He tried to sell the doll once and could not get it out of his car.
What?
It was stuck in his car in a way that he could not get it, and then wound up not being able to sell it.
That's crazy. How could it possibly have been in there?
I don't know. It must have gotten stuck on something.
Jeez.
He said, I reckon he walks in the nighttime. We came in here as a new house, and I've heard so many strange things. I've never heard so many strange things in my life. He stated once at a public appearance that Let Me Out moved in front of an audience of 200 people, and the doll has been taken to psychics who believe he was made for a boy who had drowned.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But that's like what the psychics got from, you know, the doll told them that, supposedly.
A boy who had drowned?
Yes.
So the boy lived and it was a comforting thing for him?
No, I think it was like somebody's kid drowned, so they made a doll of him for the family or something along those lines.
Oh wow, that's dark.
Yeah. So that's how you get bad energy into a doll. Don't replace kids with dolls.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a few more
dolls.
haunted dolls for you.
Yeah.
Well, first, I want to mention the other one on this list that we have been to, which is the Island of the Dolls in Mexico City.
Oh, yes, we have.
Now, the story there, the folklore is that Don Julian found a little girl's body like 20 years ago in this canal system. You can only get to this island by whatchamacallit, like canoe.
Yeah, river
or boat.
Yeah.
Let's just say boat.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people said that that's not true, that he made that part up about finding a little girl who had drowned.
Okay.
But he claimed it and then claimed that he later found a doll washed up on the shore, like the next day in the same place. So he took it out, he put it on the island. And the next day, another one came, took it out, put it on the island. This kept happening, that these dolls just kept showing up on the shore, and he would put them up in the trees. And before too long, other people started doing the same thing.
So they would find dolls or bring dolls, or
they would find or bring dolls and just kind of decorate the island with the dolls.
Huh.
And now we saw it.
Yes.
It's very creepy looking.
Extremely
because
creepy.
it's got dolls everywhere. A lot are hung from ropes and stuff, and they've all just been left out in the elements.
Yes.
So they all look like, to bring up Toy Story again, the remember the baby doll head that's like part of the erector set?
Yes.
Like they all look like that.
Yes.
Like terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now I screwed up my dates here. That didn't happen in 2001. I don't know exactly. I don't know if he's put a date on when, it was decades earlier that his supposed story came up. The reason why I have 2001 in my head is, besides it being a space odyssey, it is the year he was found drowned in the same place where he claimed that he had found that little girl's body.
Oh, that's weird.
So that is kind of creepy, especially, is somebody like that drowning when, if he lived there, he knew how to not drown, That's kind of like, I don't know, suspicious circumstances.
That's so strange. It makes you wonder was it a doll that did it?
Yeah. Or if the dolls want to be freed, or they want to thank him, bring him to
thank him by bringing him into their world.
But that was kind of like I don't know. That element does add some creepiness to it, but I remember other people being a lot more excited about that island than I was, because it just kind of looked like an island of trash. Like it was just an island of like decaying plastic.
Yeah, junky dolls.
Everything just kind of looked filthy, and like the rest of that area was beautiful. So it just kind of really felt like, crap.
Definitely very weird vibes.
Yeah. Couple more dolls, if we can go back to specific dolls.
Yes.
I want to tell you about a Japanese doll called Okiku.
Okay.
No, Okiku. So this doll can currently be found in, I believe it's Mananji Temple in Hokkaido in Japan. So and it's still there right now. The story of this doll is that in 1918, Akichi Suzuki bought a doll for his little sister named Kikuko. Just like a standard little girl doll.
I thought you were just about to say, just a standard little girl.
Just a standard little girl. Well, I think she was. She was a 3-year-old little girl. But it's, a Japanese doll, and it's got I'm trying to think of what you would call a hairstyle, but it's like bangs and like to the chin.
Bob.
Yeah, kind of like a bob. So pretty soon after she was given this doll, she gets sick and she dies.
Oh, geez.
The little girl. They kept the doll at the house. They had a shrine for like a remembrance shrine, and they kept the doll in that shrine, and they would pray to it. It wasn't too long before the dad noticed that the doll's hair was growing.
Oh.
The doll's hair was getting longer.
That's weird.
And they couldn't really explain it. So you just kind of left it. in 1938, they moved. Like the family, the dad got a new job on the mainland in Japan. So they gave the doll to this local temple in 1938. The hair is currently down to the doll's knees.
What?
Yeah. And now that is on top of the hair, apparently getting trimmed occasionally by one of the priests there, who said that he had a dream where the doll told him to start trimming her hair for her, or asked him to. So he trims it, but there are pictures of this thing. The hair's below the knees. It really doesn't make any sense, and then there's a picture of what the doll originally looked like. And yeah, the hair's gotten longer. There are also people who claim that the mouth is slowly opening.
No.
And that if you look inside the mouth, it looks like teeth are growing, or are just starting to grow.
Okay.
So who knows what kind of situation we're going to have on our hands in a few decades. But this doll seemingly is slowly coming to life. Very, very slowly. So we have
time.
Yeah. We as a civilization have time. We got to put everything else on hold. Forget all the climate stuff, all the wars and everything. We got to drop everything and get a plan together for what we're going to do if dolls start coming to life. Because we're all in trouble then.
What are some of the skeptics' explanations, like that he's changing the hair?
I think
and
just that it's fake,
Yeah, doing it for attention or something like that. That's what they always say.
I'm sure the temple gets a lot of visitors and donations based on that. Yeah. And originally I was thinking it could have been something with the way the doll was made, that there was a lot more hair in there, but it slowly started pulling out, that like the hair was stuffed inside the head all along, and it's just slowly lengthening, which I think is how it works with humans too, right? Like all the hair is just kind of stuffed in there, and then it slowly comes out. I have one more doll I want to tell you about, and I saved the spookiest for last.
That last one was pretty spooky.
Have you heard about this doll named Peggy?
No.
So I got this from travelchannel.com of all places. There's this doll named Peggy that was owned by a British paranormal investigator, Jane Harris. A woman had called her in 2015 and begged for her help after an adorable doll she found in a garage sale caused nightmares and a mystery illness. The buyer was so afraid of the doll that she had locked it in a outside storage shed.
Oh, wow.
And, found this paranormal investigator, was like, yeah, I don't know if she just had an open call. You got weird haunted things. I'll buy them from you. So she's like, great. She comes, she buys Peggy, this haunted doll, and she has like all these plans for, like her investigation and everything. But she's not able to do it because she quickly becomes too ill to leave bed and starts having hallucinations and strange noises she would hear.
Wow.
And they didn't stop until she gave the doll to another investigator. No word on what happened to that other investigator. But it's believed that the doll belonged to a London woman who was born in 1946 who died of asthma. But here's the other stuff. It also has a Robert the Doll like valley thing going on of if you're nasty to it, it might haunt you. So I found a Reddit post from somebody who saw this thing. It's at a museum, and he said, "I even looked, Peggy." He was talking. The poster was talking about it's a Zach Baggins, that like ghost hunters guy. He has a museum in Vegas full of a bunch of like occult and paranormal things. And this guy said, I went there and I thought all this stuff was bullshit. I was, ignoring everything and talking shit. And he said, I even looked Peggy the doll in the eyes without saying hi or whatever I was supposed to do, and played peekaboo with her, and then left without saying goodbye. All things I guess you're supposed to do. Now it is October, and up until this point, nothing strange in my life has really happened. Now, randomly, I had my first case of sleep paralysis earlier this month. I wake up and couldn't move and saw a large black figure staring at me from the middle of the room. I tried to yell, but couldn't. I didn't think too much of it because I had heard about sleep paralysis, blah, blah, blah. It did freak me out for like a day, though. The second time I had it was yesterday. This one freaked me out like crazy. I had it 4 times in one night. Each time I woke up and saw a black hole above me in my room melting. I also saw a blanket on me that was not there in real life. I tried to move the blanket, but could tell that I was unable to. Then these black hands moved the blanket for me. Suddenly, the black hole collapsed in on me as I heard yelling sounds, and I passed out. I don't know how to describe it. Because I was already asleep, I went into a deeper sleep 4 times. I actually don't know if it was Peggy the doll messing with me, but these are getting worse. And I saw the doll in my regular dreams the other night. It was basically about me and a friend selling chocolate, kind of like that one SpongeBob episode. And someone opened our chocolate bar, and it was an image of Peggy on the chocolate.
What?
Yeah. So... But that's not all.
Oh.
You might be sitting here thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to go to that museum and I'm not going to insult Peggy. Mm-hmm. Well,
that is what I was thinking.
That won't stop Peggy, because the owner or the investigator who used to own the doll, Harris, uploaded a video of Peggy to YouTube, and viewers immediately reported feeling the effects of their digital encounter with the doll. Nearly 100 people said they'd experienced headaches and felt ill once they'd seen the video. One woman claimed she had a heart attack, and others said they felt a sense of anxiety. Some recent commenters on the YouTube video say they felt nauseated or that the lights in their homes flickered as they watched the video.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me wonder what's going to happen just speaking her name on this podcast.
I know, just talking about it.
Well, we... respect you, Peggy.
We respect you, Peggy. We would never look at you in a museum and disrespect you. We're trying to get the word out about you on this podcast,
so people know how to behave.
Yeah, so people know how to act right. Yeah, I mean that's my thing. Like, I don't know how much of any of these types of things I believe, but it is not in anyone's interest to like test it. Yeah. Because best case scenario, nothing happens and you go, see what I always said.
Right.
And you're never even going to think about it again. Worst case scenario, you die. Because I forgot to mention that there is a case of somebody who did die, and not just from any of these dolls, but from Robert the doll. It was thought, and this is from the website, though it is rare for a death to be attributed to Robert the doll, it has happened. A Key West ghost tour guide had the image of Robert the doll tattooed on his arm and died shortly after it was completed. Definitive.
Definitely not a coincidence. That was on the museum website?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're attributing some, I mean, this isn't like the, I don't know, National Gallery or whatever, or the Smithsonian. It's a tourist museum in Key West, Florida, based around a doll. But for whatever their word is worth, they claim that that part is true. And again, that, who knows what, it's still a little bit of a stretch. Nobody's claiming the tattoo came to life and strangled him.
Right. He was just cursed.
Yeah.
If they were doing this if this was an elaborate story to get tourists to visit their museum, I wonder how many people avoid the museum because of it. I would.
Because we did. Not wanting to get haunted?
You just don't even want to go near them and be like, what if I mess up and that's too anxiety inducing. I'm just going to not go.
They should offer some kind of like elevated VIP ticket of like, we'll have somebody with you to make sure you don't get personally haunted.
A personal coach to make sure you do all the respectful things you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, they do that at like the theme parks. If you're a celebrity or rich, they just have somebody, take you and cut lines and everything.
There's an idea for you, museum.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they need, like more ways. I saw they sell a life-size, Robert the doll life-size clone of Robert the Doll. This is $2,500. Yeah.
It's life size though.
It's the same size. Yeah. But it doesn't look the same. Like it's not the same materials. It's like a plushie.
Oh.
Whereas the doll, the face of Robert the Doll is like wood or something. It's weird.
Yes. It's very unsettling to look at.
Yeah.
No offense, Robert.
No offense. You look great. You never look better. And then they sell little stuffed animals, which again, of him, which I don't know why you would want that, but I don't know. There you go. I guess the museum at some point has to be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't spread the idea that even our gifts are haunted. Well, that's it for this week. If you like the show, please give us a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That really helps out new shows like ours. If you have a spooky story you'd like to share with us, you can email us, wannahearpod@gmail.com, and you can follow us on social media at wannahearpod.
And share the podcast with a friend who likes weird stuff.
Yeah.
Why not?
Or who just is weird.
Yeah. We won't reveal which one. Yeah.
We won't tell them. Yeah, yeah, we heard you're one of the weirds that some normal sent along. All right. We'll see you next week.
Want to Hear Something Weird is a Clamor audio production, distributed by the Cloud 10 Network. Hosted and executive produced by Tom Reynolds and me, Laura Anderson. Executive produced by Aaron Hilliard.
Clamor General Manager Rich Statter. Associate Producer Ethan Aronson. Post-production supervised by Devin Ruskin. Production assistant Samara Mullick. Special thanks to Sim Sarna and Saiba Krieger at Cloud 10.
Seeking the truth never gets old. Introducing June's Journey, the free-to-play mobile game that will immerse you in a thrilling murder mystery. Join June Parker as she uncovers hidden objects and clues to solve her sister's death in a beautifully illustrated world set in the Roaring '20s. With new chapters added every week, the excitement never ends. Download June's Journey now on your Android or iOS device, or play on PC through Facebook Games.